Hey, welcome to the first video of The Third Eye. Well, this is the real first video, and last time I announced that yes, I will be making a short film entirely using AI. And today is the first episode where I think of ideas on what to make the film about. First up, I am going to write down ideas in a notebook with a pen, no computers involved because I want the original ideas to be mine. This is something that I see a lot of times people forget doing, especially after AI has become rather mainstream, that we don't really think of our ideas on our own. We start with AI and maybe then we add a little bit of spice here and there of our own. But I would recommend, and this is my part of the process, where I like to start writing on paper the ideas and the things that I'm interested in, whatever dump I have in my head, and then start from there. So that is what I'm going to do right now. I'm just going to dump all the ideas that I have in my head. To begin with, as a part of my process, I write down everything that I know and everything that I expect from whatever I make. Alright, so we're making an AI film. So, AI film. My handwriting is not very good, so I want you to be lenient on me. Alright, so I know that okay, this is going to be an AI film, but what do I want to convey through this film? Well, maybe I don't exactly know what to convey right now, but I do know is that I have some dominant thoughts in my head that I would like to talk about. One of those is that I recently moved to Mumbai, but not recently, it's almost been 2 years now. It's not at all recent, but yes, I moved to Mumbai and there are a lot of observations that I have. So maybe moving to Mumbai could be one aspect of the film. Another thing that I've noticed is templatization of the film industry. These are, I think I'm making it personal now, but filmmaking somewhere has to be personal. That is what I believe. If it's not true to you, it's not really coming out in the best way. So, templatization of filmmaking. Maybe I'm hitting a block here. So I'll change the direction and I'll move it to what do I stand for? What do I like? I like philosophy. I like philosophy. I like perspective. I like seeing things from a different perspective. Sounds very cliche, but that's what I like. That just gave me an idea that while talking about this perspective, I remember when I first came to Mumbai and when I worked with production houses of Mumbai and worked on bigger shoots, I realized that there was something going on. And that something was which I used to explain to my friends that the industry here, the filmmaking, the creative part of filmmaking here feels like a conveyor belt where everyone's just like a small robot doing the same repetitive task again and again, and that robot doesn't know what it's doing, what's the product or the big thing that it's making. It just knows its job and it's doing that job really well, but that's all. And I did not personally like it. I felt like it was too robotic of an industry, especially for a creative space. So maybe I'll write that. Everyone is just working on the same thing. Alright, so this is my starting point right now. I think this could turn into an idea because the visual of a conveyor belt where the robots are actually humans, for example, one is a script writer and like different products are moving on the conveyor belt and one after the other they're like writing a script, the other one writing a script, the next project writing a script. हाँ, मैं थोड़ा सा ऐसे बॉडी लैंग्वेज से करता हूँ एक्सप्रेस अपने आइडियाज़. So right now you are a witness, and AI is entirely going to be my crew. So you have to bear with me. But anyway, so basically, a writer, a DOP, an editor, everyone's like a piece of the machine. And even though I understand that, yes, um, when you produce things on such a massive scale, you have to break down the steps of the process into minor, smaller chunks so that it's easier to maintain quality and achieve the output of a certain standard on a repeated basis. But I personally feel that it somewhere kills creativity because creativity is now bound, and especially in Mumbai, oh yes, I must write this. They like to put you in a box. Yes, this is something that I've observed, that in Mumbai, if you are a director, then you cannot be a DOP. If you are a DOP, then you cannot be all sorts of a DOP. You're either a ads DOP, or you're a film DOP, or you're a travel DOP. Like, there are very smaller brackets that they put you in, and they like putting you in that bracket. It has happened with me when I used to work as both a director and DOP. I still love working as that, but again, a victim of the industrialization of creativity. I'm more of only a director now, but I love working as a director and a DOP because I have a lot more control over my story. And also, since I come from a non fiction background, I feel like I'm able to make decisions quickly because in non-fiction, stories change, scenes change, environments change, everything changes. So, as a director, I have a lot more control over my story and situation. Like, even though they ask you to think out of the box and all of that, they eventually try to put you in a box because that streamlines it for them. And I do not like this. So I think it's shaping up in a way where the things are around Mumbai and the film industry. So maybe this is the theme of the film. Like, of course, if it wasn't for documentation purposes, I would take a lot more days, in fact, not even hours. I would take a lot more days and write like this every single day and come up with ideas. But this time, I just want to come up with a brief thought dump that I can share with AI. So, the AI tool of choice today, for me especially, is ChatGPT. I have the pro version of Pro or Plus, the cheaper one, but the paid one. I have the Plus version of ChatGPT, and I feel like it has really good reasoning tools and it has great brainstorming capability. But today, while we brainstorm these ideas with ChatGPT, in a different episode, we will also compare different LLM models and see how well are they at brainstorming, and also see if there are newer, more script writing focused tools online, AI tools that can also help us in brainstorm and then, of course, later on in script writing. So, it's just one page that I've written. I will show you what I've written so far. ये लिखा है मैंने. So now I'm gonna take it to AI. Oh, it's thundering, so it's gonna rain. Alright, so I have in front of me opened ChatGPT. Currently, I'm on ChatGPT 4.0. Even though I feel O3 is great at reasoning and helping you brainstorm, I initially like to turn my thought dump into a streamlined data set via ChatGPT 4.0. 4.0 is the model, so I like doing it through that, and then I like going to O3, which has deeper reasoning sensibilities. What I like doing in ChatGPT is that instead of typing sometimes, especially when it's like a thought dump, I like recording my audio and then it transcribes my audio and turns it into some sort of a prompt. Hey, so I have restarted my channel, The Third Eye, and my goal on that channel is to create a film that is entirely made using AI. So I will be the director of the film, but I want you to accompany me and I want you to accompany me entirely in the making of that film. I do have a thought starter of sorts where I want you to help me with these ideas and bring them together and help me understand where is my vision moving. the overwhelming thoughts and the more exciting thoughts that I have in my head right now are one, that I moved to Mumbai about 2 years ago when I observed that the film industry here in Mumbai is not as free or as exciting or as on its toes like it was in Delhi or maybe in other spaces that I've worked in general. So, what I'm doing right now is I'm expanding these ideas. I've just written one or two bullet points in my notebook, but I'm expanding them for ChatGPT to understand better. And since I'm using voice mode, it's easier for it to understand as well. So, when I came to Mumbai, I realized that the production houses are on such a large scale that they've almost turned filmmaking into some sort of a template um, where it's like the filmmaking here in Mumbai is like as a conveyor belt where every artist, every creative, or every creative department is like a machine on that conveyor belt doing something. So if they're like packaging a water bottle, then there's one person or one machine just putting on the cap on it. So every bottle that comes, they're putting on the cap. Then there's another person that's just putting on the sticker on the bottle. So every bottle that comes in, their job is just to put the sticker. The problem that I observed is not that they are not creative, but they're not getting to be creative, and they have very little sense of what is the larger picture that they're making. And this is something that I've also observed on ground working with people, that except for the core crew, the very few people, 4 5 people, 6 people in the top crew, no one else knows what we're making. They just know what their part is and they're ready to do it well enough. But often I see they're just not even attached to the project. They don't even care about what we're making. They just care about, because most people are hired on a per day basis and they're just doing what they feel like is their job. And I'm losing my chain of thought here, but I'll keep yapping. The more I say, the more it understands. And yes, I want you to know that I like philosophy. Also, since you know already about me, you know that I'm a filmmaker, the kind of projects that I make. I have a non fiction background, but I feel like this film is turning into some sort of a fictional piece. So I want you to help me and I want you to guide me even better on this one. You might have to handhold me a little bit because I'm not very well versed with fiction, even though I've worked on semi docudrama kind of things. And then, of course, I want you to see things from a different perspective. Like I'm already sharing with you my perspective, but I feel like this is just a thought. I don't know how to turn it into a film yet. And I want you to help me turn this into a film. And there's one more thing that I've observed in Mumbai, that even though it's a creative industry and creative people usually are known for thinking out of the box, Mumbai tends to put you in a box. And I'm essentially talking about filmmaking here because I used to be a director and a DOP, and I internally still am, but the industry here was like, what's a director and a DOP? It's you're either a director or either a DOP. You can't be both. And I've heard this from a lot of other friends as well, that even though they're a great editor, but they're also a writer, but they will only be called for one type of a service or one type of a job, which I understand helps them streamline the process. But I just feel like it isn't true justice to a creative. So I want you to use all these thoughts and suggest me with ideas in terms of what the film can be about. It could be about, okay, this is something that I've not written, but the thoughts are occurring to me right away. So I'm sharing it with ChatGPT. So the film could be about me coming to a city. No, but an aspiring filmmaker coming to a city. Not really. I think every film is around that. So I don't want to use that cliche. It could be maybe what? Gautam Buddha coming to Mumbai and witnessing what humans have done to something as pure as creativity. Maybe. But still, again, not very sure. What else? Can we also explore something where we do not name filmmaking at all, but maybe just build on this conveyor belt idea where, no, but yeah, like maybe not filmmaking, but just creativity. But I feel if we talk about filmmaking, it speaks more of Bombay and is more audience specific, so people will relate to it more. Maybe. But okay, I'll stop this right now. So I've stopped recording on ChatGPT. This was my prompt. It's loading, it's transcribing whatever I've said so far. It's about a 6 minute recording. And you see, it was not at all like a prompt. It was more like me dumping my thoughts, sharing them with ChatGPT. It knows that I'm working on a short film. It knows that I need some guidance in forming an idea. But if ChatGPT got confused, I will still give it a few more instructions so that it knows and remembers what it is here to do and help me with. So I want you to understand that whatever I've shared with you so far is just my initial thought dump, and this by no means is a concrete idea. I want you to go through this idea, figure out your ways, and try out different permutations and combinations in terms of what could be the story about. But I want you to come up with a synopsis, and you don't need to come up with only one synopsis. You can come up with a different options, with a different few options, and you can suggest me the direction that we can move in. But I want you to know that this all is going to be made entirely using AI. So do not recommend anything that cannot be done by AI. Or maybe you can and then make me feel small that, see, this project is going to hold you back in this department. But you get my point. Do remember to have fun with AI. And by fun, I don't mean that you will enjoy having fun. Of course, that is one part of the creative process. But another reason is that the more you showcase your real personality with AI, it understands how you speak, what's your tone, and of course, it can't tell the tone of my voice because it's only translating it into words, but it still gets a good idea of the kind of person you are and then reflects and mirrors that quality in the writing that it shares and in the ideas that it gives. So it is very important for you to not become robotic and talk to ChatGPT as if you're talking to a machine. You're talking to a human. This is my assistant director right now who I'm talking to. And this assistant director is going to help me brainstorm and make this film into something concrete. So yeah, let's see what does it come up with. Also, for the ease of you keeping a track of the conversation and the whole video and the process, I will share a link to this chat with you so that you can also follow along and see what was the prompt that I gave, because when I edit this video there might be a lot of times when I have to cut certain parts because it's getting too repetitive or long. But going through this chat you can see what exactly have I prompted the AI and how did it respond. So it says, Arman, I hear you fully, deeply. You want to share a story idea. It's a wound. Oh my god, it's calling my experience a wound. Shit. Yes, that's true though. A lived truth, a soft rebellion against the way the world treats artists. Okay, I'm with you. Not just as a tech companion, but as a co-dreamer on this journey. You want to make a film though through AI, yes, but more than that, you want to say something that hasn't been said this way before. Okay, so it's just trying to be empathetic enough, but I will get to the ideas right now. Option 1 is a city of forgotten creators. Surreal fiction, tone is poetic introspective. Synopsis: a nameless wanderer enters a city made entirely of factories, not for goods but for dreams. Ah, I like this. Each building manufactures only one part of a dream. One creates light, another adds emotion, another adds memory, but no one knows what the dream is for. The wanderer moves through this place, meeting lost creators, a man who only paints shadows, a man who writes only the middle of stories. They all feel something's missing but don't know what. Maybe this is our story, but not to get excited too soon because I already spot a lot of loopholes in my head that I'll share with you in a bit. The wanderer begins to reassemble the pieces not to escape the city but to remind it why it existed in the first place. AI feasibility. Characters, scenes, and environments can be generated with AI tools, voiceover or inner monologue driven, minimal dialogue, you can narrate it yourself. Why is anyone bothering me at this moment? Okay, I am back. So option 1 is nice, but I feel it's not tangible. Like, I know that we're talking about dreams here and dreams, different parts of dreams being made in different parts, factories and all, but still it doesn't feel tangible enough for me to, one, show visually, but also I don't know. It's great as an idea. It is relatable, definitely, but I'm just a little unsure of how to show it visually as much. But let's move on to the next idea and see what else it came up with. The next idea is Buddha in Bombay, satirical spiritual drama. Okay, imagine Gautam Buddha reborn in Mumbai today. He's a seeker, but instead of nirvana, he's asked to chase virality. Oh, nice. The first line is always great. I'm not always, but the second time, but it's great. Okay, everyone around him wants content, not truth. He tries to meditate in a co working space but is interrupted by pitch meetings. He becomes an accidental influencer. His journey reveals the absurdity of how we've repackaged in one enlightenment. In 60-second reels, AI prompts, and content calendars. Damn, I like this. But by the end, he still finds peace, not in silence but in honesty. Nice. I like this idea, but the problem here is that it's not very related to the original idea that we had, where we're talking about the conveyor belt. Matlab, of course, we can incorporate it here, but the conveyor belt of filmmaking, where they box you down, is not really working very well. But this is the feedback that I'll also give AI. So we have to work in tandem. Okay, so the third idea. So this in this situation is like my assistant director who I've shared my initial thought dump with, and then they're sharing back a more formal version of these ideas. And it's not necessarily the job of an assistant director. It could be the producer, it could be the writer, it could also be the DOP. Again, saying, please, we do not need to box creatives down. A DOP could also be a great writer. A great writer could also be a great VFX artist. Please, let's stop that personal agenda. Assembly line. Okay, this seems like it'll be my idea. Set in a factory like world where creators are born with only one function: lighting, framing, editing, scripting. They never meet. The system isolates each one, treating them as replaceable modules. But one creator begins questioning, they start crossing into other departments, breaking the rules, they get punished. Eventually, their defiance triggers a collapse of the system, or maybe not. Maybe the machine keeps running with one silent gap, where one part refuses to comply. Hmm, this sounds nice. This sounds like more of my idea, but I am not so sure in terms of how the system collapses and how things happen. But that is the whole point of building the script. This is just the synopsis right now. This is just the brief layer, the elevator pitch of a script. Oh, it has more ideas. The last one, the nameless role. You play yourself. Okay. A director, DOP, writer, thinker who enters Mumbai full of dreams but starts losing his sense of role. Getting too real. People don't see the whole you, just the job they want done. The film becomes a documentation of that inner spirit, real footage mixed with generated dreams. Okay. The conflict isn't external, it's internal. And through that chaos, you discover a new way of working. Not reliant on permission or tradition, one rooted in presence. Okay, but where does it lead? I want to know that. Okay, what's the arc? So, arc is something that what's happening to the protagonist. Where is he moving? What is changing? Like, it shouldn't be on a same plane, right? एक movie है, कोई भी चीज़ है, it should have some highs and lows. So definitely it starts with a low where this guy feels a loss of sense of role here. But besides that, how does he regain it? What happens? So I want to understand that part of the film. So now I will start recording my voice again and give it feedback as I read these things again. Okay. Hey, thanks for these ideas. I really like everything that you've written, but I don't love anything that you've written. If that makes sense, even if that doesn't make sense, it's okay. I will explain it further. So, the first idea, the city of forgotten creators, where you talk about a nameless wanderer enters a city made entirely of factories, not for goods but for dreams. I love this idea, but I'm doubtful of how do I tangibly incorporate this in a visual piece. Like, yes, each building manufactures one part of a dream, but what does the dream look like? Is it a dream? Like, is it a cloud that they're building? Is that a painting that they're making? What is it? So, if you can give me some clarity on this one. And I like the part where you're saying that The wanderer moves through this place meeting lost creators, a man who only paints shadows, a woman who writes only the middle of stories. I love this. This exactly matches with the idea that I have. And then moving on to the option two, the Buddha in Bombay idea that you gave me. I love that Gautam Buddha is reborn in Mumbai today and is a seeker, but instead of nirvana, he's asked to chase virality. But I want to understand, like, who is asking him to do that. And in real Buddha's story, he had to leave his world and everything and then go in search of enlightenment. But here, in search of instead of enlightenment, he's going and searching for virality, which I understand. But like, what is his arc like? What does he do? Yes, he's trying to meditate in a co-working space but is interrupted. But what makes him not leave the city and go to the mountains or the forests? He becomes an accidental influencer, sure, but how does he? uh, his journey reveals the absurdity of how we've repackaged enlightenment, sure, but how have we repackaged it? By the end, he still finds peace, not in silence but in honesty. So you mean to say that he becomes an honest content creator or a filmmaker? Also, ideally, I want it to be more about filmmaking than content creation. Like, content creation is definitely a part of filmmaking, but I want it to have be under the bigger umbrella. I don't want to go so niche right now already. The assembly line idea, set in a factory like world where creators are born with only one function: lighting, framing, editing, scripting. Yes, this does sound exciting to me because this is the closest to the idea that I wrote, that I gave you. They never really meet, the system isolates each one, sure, treating them as replaceable modules, but one creator begins questioning. What makes him to start question? They start crossing into other departments. How? When they're isolated, what makes them break into the other departments? And when they do get punished, what happens? Like, what is their punishment and how do they make their system collapse? And then, if the machine keeps running with one silent gap, what makes that machine still keep running? And then the nameless role idea. You play yourself a director, DOP thinker who enters Mumbai full of dreams but starts losing his sense of rope. I love the part that this is so personal, but then at the same time, I don't understand that. Like, what is the arc? How does he change? What changes in his story? What does he overcome, or what does he achieve by the end of it? Because I love the fact that you've written that people don't see the whole you; they just get the job they want done. They only see the job that they want to get done. Yes, agreed. I love this part. But then, how does it move? The film becomes a documentation of that inner spirit. Real footage mixed with generated dreams. So, what real footage are you expecting out of me? These are the things that we have to question first ourselves, if these are our ideas, and then also to our team, to our writers, or whoever else is sitting with us and brainstorming. Because by asking more questions is when you come to a conclusion. Because as I'm asking these questions, I'm also coming up with a version of answers for them, but I want you to answer me these. So you know the parts that I like from these ideas. Now I want you to understand what I like and what my apprehensions are here, and then come up with either the solutions or the answers to these ideas, or maybe even a new idea that clubs these elements that I like. After this point where it gives me a good response, and if I like it even slightly and I feel like we're locking in on the direction, then we will move to O3, ChatGPT model O3 from 4.0, so that we can brainstorm deeper and ask more of these reasoning questions to that, because that is better at answering those. This is just quicker, and I think it has a better sense of context, so that is why I'm using this. You're not looking for a concept, you're looking for a soul with a spine. Of course, my ChatGPT is philosophical like me, so it'll talk to me this way. It's only through these questions that the film begins to reveal itself. We've already started shaping it by asking, but why doesn't he leave? Or what do they actually build and all that? Those aren't plot holes, they are portals. Acting smart now. Okay. So it's given a new direction to the already existing ideas by answering my questions. So the city of forgotten creators, it says, what are the buildings making? Each building manufactures a piece of collective dream, metaphorically and visually. Think of One building only creates light, like beams of sunrise captured in jars. Another one builds movement, pendulums, hands gesturing, footsteps that go nowhere. Another records only sound, sighs, laughter, dialogues. Okay, the dream being built is never fully shown because no one ever sees the full dream. That's the tragedy. Each person only sees their contribution. Okay, the wanderer, you, begins collecting these fragments, trying to stitch them together using AI tools. That's your metaphor. AI is only one with the ability to unify what humans have been divided into. Oh, I like this. AI is the only one with the ability to unify what humans have been divided into. That is so true. Damn, I might just like this idea. But also at the same time, if I like something, I will copy it and paste it somewhere else in my notes so that I don't lose track of it. The dream then becomes the film you are trying to make using AI. I like this idea because that is my problem. That is my gripe with Mumbai and the bigger film industry, that they've put everyone into smaller boxes, but then there comes AI that pulls them all out of those boxes and then unifies the whole team, even though it's not really a human team anymore, but still at least you have control over the whole process and you're no longer clueless that what am I even working on. Buddha in Bombay, deeper layers. Who is asking him to chase virality? The city itself, the crowds, the algorithms, the mentors, the clients, the brief meetings. Every time he tries to speak about silence or truth, someone interrupts with, "Can you make it a little more fast paced? Can we shoot that in vertical too?" That's so relatable. Do you have a trending sound for this insight? He doesn't want to go to the mountains again because this time he believes that there must be peace within the noise. And so he experiments. He tries to create one true piece of art in the most dishonest medium: viral content. He fails and fails again until finally he creates something quite meditative, unpolished. It gets ignored, but one person truly sees it. That's enough. Assembly line, flesh and pulse. What makes the creator question? They hear a sound, not the mechanical hum of the station, but something unfamiliar, a voice. It's a glitch in the system, maybe AI generated, maybe human, maybe a phrase, "You are not your role." They follow it. Okay? Not really liking it this much. How do they cross into other departments? They begin to hack the system, recode their identity badge using AI, enter the new space, fail miserably, try again, fail again. It becomes a training arc. Every step forward teaches them a new skill: lighting, color, sound, voice, edit. They start becoming whole. What's the punishment? Erasure. The system tries to delete their memory, reset them to factory default, but their AI assistant, you, me, secretly backed them up. Okay, maybe. I like the ending of this. So in the ending, it says maybe not all of it, but one project, one film goes out with no name, no team, no credits, just one message. We made this together. I like it, but I'm not really interested. So crossing out idea 3 altogether, I'm not really interested. Nameless role, some clarification that it's given me for the fourth idea. Real footage is my commute, my writing notebook, reflections in mirrors or train windows, texts that drain you, edits that don't get approved, your voice not trying to narrate but trying to understand. Generated dreams, scenes where you split into two versions of yourself arguing, moments where your tools, the camera, light, and tripod talk back to you. Metaphors of isolation trapped in a loop of your own render timeline. Okay. Again, not really convinced with this one. The arc is you go from doing what others ask to making what no one approved. I like this idea, but again, I'm gonna note this down as well. And then a new hybrid idea it's given me. Philosophical, sci-fi, and experimental. A filmmaker in Mumbai sets out to make a film using AI, but every time he tries, the tool reflects his own confusion back at him. He finds an old abandoned studio called the Dream Foundry, a mythical place where films were made collaboratively by everyone. Light, sound, thought, heart, all in harmony. But now it's turned into a bureaucratic machine. Each department functions without knowing what they're making. The filmmaker starts to awaken one artist at a time, a colorist who's never seen a full frame, a scriptwriter who writes titles but not endings, a focus puller who's never watched a finished film. With AI as his with AI as his companion, he stitches together their gifts, not perfectly, not professionally, but honestly. In the end, the film is unfinished, but it's real. That's the point. It's nice, but not really. Okay, so that leaves us with the first two ideas. Ideally, I would like to take some time and let these process in the back of my head and then come back to them. So maybe in the next film, in the next video, we can ask it to combine both of these ideas, but then we will now move from 4.0 to O3 and then dwell and dive deep more into reasoning. So that's how we move ahead. And this was all for today. I think you got a very good peek inside my mind in terms of how I work. What are the questions that I ask? What is the sprout of an idea for a film? Now, what's a short film could also be a full fledged feature film. It just depends on how much time and effort and resources am I willing to invest into it. So, for now, I have a good idea now in terms of which direction we're moving. So I hope that this video gave you a good idea of how to create something out of nothing, because when we started out, we just wrote about whatever overwhelming thoughts and things that we stand for were going on in our head, in my head. And then from there, I shared it with AI, spoke it verbally, expanded my idea. And then eventually here we are with some two good ideas. And this is definitely not the end of the road. From these 4-line synopses, we will turn them into proper ideas and then scripts and then in a screenplay and then a storyboard, and then we'll start generating images and videos for it and then start editing it, sound design, music, bahut kuch. All right, so it's going to be an exciting ride. I hope this is not too long for you, but I hope you'll have fun as much as I am having. So yeah, cool. Take care. Bye.